So now we're going to look at the code for the actual booking to check the dates and the rooms aren't booked. If the rooms are booked, highlight the room numbers, and if the rooms are free, how you actually then will submit the booking into the reservations table, and this will appear in the actual network server database, the SQL server database. So I'm going to go to the code, and you'll see it's quite complex, and I have put my comments in how to show each stage. So first of all, within my code, I'm going to declare a range of variables. So the first one is DB as database, RS, and any of it is RS as record set. So I have a record set that I want to read, RS, which is down here. And it checks to see if the booking has the date from and date to and date from, and the room ID from the actual record set, which is going to be the query, this here. So if we open this, it's going to check all the records in the query, match the dates and the room, and see if there's any return on the number. I also have then record sets till read and write to the booking. So these are the two booking ones. These are going to insert, manipulate our record set manipulation, which adds the new records into these tables, reservations and reservation rooms. I then have get date from, which is going to be take the date from this here, the text date from, so the date that you pick from the date picker in there, and the actual date to, which is calculated whenever I do number of nights, and it's going to store them in these variables as dates. And then I have a number of counters and calculating integers, and finally I have a variable for to get the booking reference and store it as a string. And if your booking reference, you'll see from mine, the reference is actually a string variable. And down here I have start off with my client-side validation, which looks at to make sure that you've entered a date from, number of nights, customer ID. So these here are all already on the client side. So if I click, it'll say I need a date from because of client side validation. Back to the actual code then. So I come through the whole client side validation. The first thing I want to do is I'm just setting the room counter as 0, and I'm doing a loop to check the number of rooms. So if the number of rooms that you have entered is 3, it'll go through this loop 3 times. It'll add 1 to the room counter. So room counter equals room counter plus 1. So the first time it'll go round, it'll be 1, 2 and 3, and then when it's the same value as the number of rooms, it'll exit the loop. And in that there, it'll just set the border color of the actual or and whatever this room counter number is, or 1 or 2 or 3, it'll set that to black. It'll recalculate the actual form. I get then the date from, which is going to be what the user enters in here, and the date to is what's going to be calculated when you enter in the number of nights. And I'm going to format them into the American SQL Server date format, which is MMDDYY, month, day and year. And I'm then going to move down, and I'm going to set DB, the variable DB that I have up here as a database, and I'm going to set it to the current database. So current DB, I'm going to have a record count equals naught, and I'm going to have a calculate booking equal to naught. So the first thing to start off with is I'm going to look through using the actual algorithm that looks at the system, and we'll see from this algorithm for a booking system, A and B are what the user inputs, and C and D are what values are in the table on the database. The actual algorithm will take C, which is the from on the database, and it's less than or equals to the B, which is the 2 that is entered by the user, and D, which is the 2 on the database, is going to be greater than or equals to the from that's entered by the user. And this is where I want to get a SQL command that counts the number of records from that. So if I go back to my code, I'll see that I have started off, the record count is 0 and the number of rooms, so the number of rooms is 3. This will loop through 3 times, and it'll add 1 each time to the REC count, and when that becomes 3 it'll exit the loop. So I start that loop and I get the value of each of the rooms. So I'm getting from the control the different values, R1, R2 and R3 if I've done 3 rooms. So it'll go R1, R2 and R3. So if I've room 1, room 2, room 3, and it'll store those values in the actual get room number. And you'll see back here that I have get room number as integer, because I'm using integer. If it's string value there, A, B or C, that would be as a string. So I'm getting the room number, back down, and that value then, and I'm setting RS rooms equals select all from the table res rooms. So it's selecting everything from that table, and I'm setting the record set to count from the query reservations. So it's going to count any records in this query where the date from that's entered, so the date from that's on the database, which is the actual C, is less than or equals to the date 2 that's entered by the user. So the date from on the database is less than or equal to the get date 2 that is entered here and then formatted to that format, and the table or date 2, which is this, the date 2 that's in the query and the table of data, the record set, is greater than or equals to, so this here is greater than or equal to the date 2 on the data. The D is greater than or equals to the actual the from that's entered by the user. So the get date from that the user has entered in and the format has been changed. And finally the room ID is get the room number, and we've got the room number from the actual value that goes into the text boxes. So if you have 3 text boxes, whatever room number you've entered in there will come through the loop. So if it takes room 1, checks the dates according to the algorithm, and if the count is the total, so I've set select count as tot, and basically if this is greater than equals to 1, it'll set the border color of the actual room number, so R1, R2, R3. So if R1 is already booked, it'll set that border colour to red. It'll also add one till the calc booking, and this will come up at the end. So if it's looped through and calc booking is greater than 0, that means that there's a room or rooms are booked for these dates, and a message comes up saying these dates have been highlighted in red, and it exits out of the sub procedure, which is up here. So it exits out of all the code once it's got to check these here, and if they're booked it'll give a value of 1, and then it'll basically add 1 to the calc booking, which will mean we can't consider any more of the book, continue any further with the booking, because there is rooms already booked in these dates and they're highlighted in red. If this here is 0, so it's went through all the loop and it's saying that this here has not happened, so calc booking will remain 0. The else will come in for inserting a new booking, and to insert the new booking we'll have to go back and set the dates to what's going to be on the date server. So we're going to set date from and get date to month, day and year, and within the booking then we're going to set the record set booking equal to opening up the table reservations, DBO underscore TBL reservations, and I'm going to add a new record, so RS booking dot add new. I'm going to, within that bookings table, I'll see that the rev ID is an autumn number, so it'll calculate itself. It's the date from, date to, customer ID and staff ID, and the date from is going to be this get date from. The date to is going to be get this date to. The customer ID is going to be what the user is selected as the customer ID, and the staff ID is going to be what's carried over from the dashboard in the staff ID. It's going to update this record set and it's going to close. And what I'm going to do is, because I've closed the record set RS, I'm going to select all from the table reservations. So I've closed the record set and I've now opened this table again, and what it's done is, because it's added a new record, it's now going to the last record, it's getting the booking reference and it's storing that in the BKREF, because mine's going to be a string. It's going to store the BKREF and it's going to equal to the reservations in the table. It's going to store whatever the new value is, and that's going to give you your booking reference. I'm now going to create records for the rooms using this reference. So the room counter equals 0, and I'm going to do until room counter is equal to the number of rooms. So if number of rooms are 3, this here will go around 3 times, and it'll keep adding 1 to this room counter. So when room counter becomes 3, it'll be equal to the number of rooms, which is 3. It'll then go through and get the actual room number value, and into the new RS book rooms I'm going to add a new record. So that record set dot add new, and in that record set I'm going to just add the booking reference. If I go to that record set, I'm going to add the booking reference, which is res ID is equal to this booking reference that we've got here, and I'm going to actually add the room number. Going to update and basically process the booking and close. So it follows simple pattern of record set